One love to the humble, one love to the humble, one love to the humble. Thank you for all for being here. Thank you all for being here. But I want to go ahead and get right into this. And the question that I have is, was civil rights really the answer? Was the civil rights movement really the answer? And we got to get out of our feelings when we discuss this. We really got to talk about it for what it really is. Not what we've been told, not what we feel about it, but what it really, really is. Was the civil rights movement the answer? Well, we got to break it down and look at it, right? We got to look at it for what it is. What did it do? What was it for? What was the purpose behind it? That's all you got to look at. Who, what, when, where, and why will solve you 90% of your problems in life if you answer those questions. You don't got to feel nothing. You can just ask the simple questions. Who, what, when, where, why. And you can also ask how. But see, those are the basic things they always taught us that we don't even do anymore. But anyway, I want to get back to this. If you look at the civil rights movement and you look at what happened during the civil rights movement, you can clearly see how it went wrong and what spawned from the civil rights movement that led to the actions that's going on right here, right now, today. You can look at it and see. You can look at it and see what's going on right here, right today because of it. So go all the way back and look at the purpose of the civil rights movement. Well, from what we can see, the civil rights was supposed to be like, the civil rights of all people, no matter the race. But, the emphasis was on black people at the time. The emphasis was on black people. They was going to different cities and different towns that were ready for the movement. They were going to towns that was having these serious problems and that was ready for the movement, and they went there and they did the propaganda, all that type of stuff to get the people ready to go. And if it was a town that the people wasn't feeling it, they didn't go to that city or town because they wasn't with it. And if you know anything about that time frame, most people were not with most black people were not with what Martin Luther King was doing. Today they romanticize it as if it's like this was this big glorious thing that all black people were bound down and gracious for. That wasn't true. And if you was old enough to be, I wasn't born yet, but if you was old enough to know what was going on back then, please comment below and let me know what was going on. And if I'm wrong, I stand corrected. But I don't think I'm wrong. From what I saw and my research tells me differently. Because I understand how the media works. I understand how they shift things around. I understand how they rewrite history to go along with what they want. They tell it to the next generation. Whenever there's a situation that they want to change, see, the older generation who's out of school no longer has any influence on what's going on in the schools. They won't necessarily know what's going on. They won't necessarily know what the next generation or the younger generation are getting taught. So it's easy to change the information or change and glorify it in a different way so that most people won't even understand what's going on. But that's what they do. They change things up. But the reality of it is most people was not with that. Now I think as time went along, they kind of got people to get on board with it. But in the beginning, people were not with it because it was no need for it. There was no need for that to happen. To us today, we think it was a need for it. We believe that it was a need for it because of what we've been convinced to see. Because whatever somebody can convince you on the inside, that's what you're going to in turn see on the outside. You can take any situation that you look at and it will reflect how you feel on the inside. That's what you're going to see. We all can look at the very same thing. It could be 10 people looking at the same thing take place, and you'll get probably about half and half. Or you may get 10 different responses, 10 different viewpoints of the same situation, and then you'll be arguing about what you saw. That's the game. But anyway, was it necessary? No, it was not necessary. If you really look at it, if you look at what it did, you can say it's not necessary. It wasn't, because if they wanted civil rights for everyone, which what they said, but the emphasis was on black people. For black people, what they point to, the emphasis that they point to, I'm not going to add in my own thing. I'm going to stick to what it is. If you look at what they were pointing to, the emphasis of what they keep putting on it is the separation. They wanted everything to be, they wanted to get rid of segregation, and they wanted everybody to come together. That was the goal. That was the whole goal of the movement, to bring everybody together to get rid of segregation. I don't see the point of getting rid of segregation, because if this group of people got everything they need over here, this group of people got everything they need over here, what is the point of trying to create a situation where they come together? It would have naturally happened. If there's a black water fountain and a white water fountain, before you think about what I'm saying here, there's a fountain for black people, there's a fountain for white people, and that's a problem. Tell me what is really wrong with that. Think about what I'm saying. This might be the first time you heard somebody talk about this, and you may not agree with me, and that's okay if you don't agree, but I need you to think. What is wrong? They put a sign above a water fountain. They put a sign above a water fountain, and they put the word black. They put a sign on this water fountain, and they put the word white on it. And that somehow made people upset. You believe that? You really think that was a big deal? The two water fountains, they're made by the same company. The water's coming from the same place. But they just put a sign over it, and then everybody's in an uproar. You believe that? And if that is true, then that's some simple-minded thinking. That you mad because this sign, because the signs are up, so you're mad. Okay, the bus. Let's talk about the bus. Segregation on the bus. This group of people sits in the back of the bus. This group of people sits in the front. Where do most people go at when they get on the bus? Most people go right to the back of the bus. Why? Because they don't want to be bothered. They go to the back of the bus, not because they feel lesser or nothing, just because that's just the place that everybody goes that don't want to be bothered. And you just want to go and sit back in the corner and just relax. But anyway, people are mad because this group of people sit in the front of the bus and this group of people sit in the back of the bus. So we're going to get mad. But the bus is taking us everywhere you need to go. That's psychological. And it means nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's just a seat on the same bus. You're on the same bus. It's not like you're riding a different bus. You're on the exact same bus. But since you get in a different section on the bus, it's a problem. If they had to flip it around and say, okay, let black people sit in the front of the bus and put white people in the back of the bus, then black people would have been crying to get to the back of the bus. It's all senseless stuff when you think about it. It's senseless. Okay, now you got the restaurants. You can't walk in the front of the restaurant. You can't sit at the front of the restaurant. All you can do is come around to the back of the restaurant to get your meal. But you get your meal and you go about your business. But that ain't good enough, right? I need to go in the front door. I feel lesser because you got me coming through the back. I feel lesser because you got me sitting on the back of the bus. I feel lesser because you got two water fountains that's going to the same place with two different signs above them. I feel lesser because you got two bathrooms, one for me and one for you, and I want to be in the one you in. I want to take the signs down so we can all go in the same one. Think about this. This is what this was all about. But yet, if you go black community, black people had bus lines. Right here in Durham, North Carolina, there was a whole entire bus line. Black people had theaters. In the theaters back then, black people sat at the top of the theater. The white people sat on the floor level. Where you get the best view at? At the top. You don't get as good a view on the floor when you're right there up on it than you do from the balcony. Now, who sits at the balcony now? The balcony is considered prestigious now. This all the psychological BS. We had our own theaters, we had our own bus lines, we had our own restaurants, we had everything. But for some reason, the trick was that we supposed to want to desegregate and come together and move in, go into theirs, because being in the back wasn't good enough, or going to the back door wasn't good enough. Why was you even going over there in the first place if you got a restaurant right here? Why would you want to go and sit in their theaters when you got a theater right over there? Why are you riding on that bus line when you got a bus line right there? This was all a game. It was all a game. It was all a setup. It had no purpose at all but to get rid of, to cripple the black community. That's what it did. It crippled the black community. We lost everything. Because now when they opened the gates and said, you could go over here, everybody ran. Because now, it's like a little kid and you tell me you can't do something for a long time, and then all of a sudden you say, yeah, you can go. Because you've been wanting to go over there for so long. Now you over there. And now everything you got over here is, you lost it all. They tricked you into that. I mean, I'm not blaming. I'm just saying that's the truth of what happened. You lost everything because you wanted, not you particularly, because they wanted to be a part so bad. And then they forced them into the school system. They forced them in. But then they blaming it on white people, saying it's white people's fault why those things happen. You forced them in. You put them in a position to get beat upside the head. That's what the civil rights was doing. It was putting people in position to get their head knocked off. For what? For this? What do we have? For what? This is all could have been done the way it was already. This was not necessary to bring people together for this nonsense. Look at what black people are doing right now. Acting a plum fool. It was not necessary. It just made, all it did was create a situation where black people will forever be locked in a racist mindset. Black people will forever be locked in a mindset of racism. Forever. Because of that situation. That was not going on back then. That was not the mindset back then when black people were doing their own thing and had their own thing before they had leaders. Before the black community was gathered up into one little group. Sorry about that. Before the black community was rounded up and gathered up into one big group, there was no leaders. Each man was the leader for himself. Each man was leading himself and doing what he had to do for himself. There was nobody telling all the black people what to do. There was nobody telling all the black people how to think. There was nobody telling all the black people who to be mad at, who to like, who to not like. There was nobody doing that. But right after the Civil Rights Movement, that's what happened. Yeah, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, all these people. From my understanding, this is what they became. Then they started, that's how we got, if I'm not mistaken, my research serves me correct, that's how they even came up with African Americans. I think it's him that created that. We're not that. I don't care what you say, you're not an African American at all. But that's what you told you are. They told you who to be mad at. They told you who was this. They told you all that. And look what stemmed from all that. You had all these groups that stem off of that situation. Everybody stemmed from that. All the organizations that came after that during that time stemmed from that situation. And it's been detrimental ever since. Everything they've done, everything way they've convinced the mind of black people to think has been detrimental. And they ain't do nothing but get rich. All of them people got rich. It's over all them organizations and groups. They got rich, while the black community got poor. Lost everything. Nowadays, there ain't nobody creating nothing. Everything people doing today is talking about what they did back then. That's all you hear. Somebody posting something, oh, don't never forget. But they show you something from that time frame. There ain't nothing nobody doing right now today that's worth a damn. Go look around. You might be one of them. I used to be one of them. Only thing you're going to show is from then. You ain't got nothing current that you can show that's worth anything that we're doing other than violence. And that ain't good. We lead the way in violence. We lead the way in prison. We lead the way in all of these crazy things. They wasn't doing that back then. They was building some real stuff. They had pride in who they were. They had pride. They took pride in what they were, how they dressed, how they act, their families, their beliefs. They took pride in that. Someone trying to stop this video. I don't know what's going on. But they took pride in that. They took pride in that stuff back then. Only thing we take pride in now is how crazy we can act, how many rap songs we can call women B's and H's, how many rap songs we can call each other N's, N-words, how many rap songs how much dope we can sell, how many rap songs that we can flossing and showing off money. That's all we take pride in today. How low we can hang our pants, how many women we can run through, the women, how many BBLs they can get. What came out? What did we get out of this other than this nonsense behavior that we got today? It all stems from that. It all stems from that. That what happened then made us victims. We became victims after the civil rights movement. Every black person was a victim, stuck in a cycle that will never, ever, ever stop until the black race is extinct. That's the only way it's gonna stop. Because they're gonna keep this going. They pass it on generation after generation. How everybody is so bad. We're such a victim. They doing us wrong. They owe us this. These people, whoever created these ideas and put it out there, well, they did a disservice to the black community. Black people would never ever rise with this mindset. And it all started with the civil rights movement. So I'm gonna tell you right now, the civil rights movement was a bust. It did no good at all. It created nothing but problems for the black community. Everybody else benefited. The people who started, they benefited. White people benefited. I ain't gonna lie. Their businesses grew. Everything grew with them starting this. Because we stopped ours to go put money over there. We was happy to go sit at that front table. We was happy. You got people getting knocked upside the head to go sit down in a sit-in. Imagine getting your head, you willing to go in there and get your head busted in just to prove that you deserve to sit at a table. You don't know you can build your own table? You can build your own table, you know that, right? You don't have to go and get your head knocked off in somebody else's table. I believe personally, they got what they deserve. They deserve to get their heads knocked off. What is wrong with what sense does that make? Why would I go over here to get my head knocked off when I can just build my own right here? It was a waste of time and energy and life. People lost their lives behind this nonsense. And it didn't do any good. It didn't do any good at all. It didn't do any good. It stopped nothing. If you go back and look at how that went down, and you track it all the way up to right now, you will see that was a direct cause of everything you see today. It was a direct cause of that. Because had that not happened, there would not be a victim mindset in the black community. Because those people, prior to the civil rights movement, did not have a victim mindset. They knew that the battle was not racism. They knew it was good versus evil because everybody wasn't doing that stuff. It wasn't just all white people just had slaves and being mean. How do you think the Underground Railroad even worked? How do you think it worked? You think it was just black people who set that Underground Railroad up all the way up north? You think that? You think how many connections had to be made to make that happen? How many lives, white lives, had to be lost to make that happen? Think about this for a second. This stuff is crazy to me when I sit there and think about it. I just think about stuff for what it really is, not how it make me feel. Because some of this stuff is craziness when you really think about it. It was a waste of time. But anyway, those people back then did not think like that. They was not victims. They understood something more than what we have the capacity to do today. They knew what it was really about. They knew it wasn't everybody because they was right there to see it. See, we right here romanticizing it, like, and we can't see it because we wasn't in it. So we think to our mind, everybody was doing it. Oh, I hate all of them because all of them was involved in it. And that's not true. It's not true. But they didn't think like that. They didn't have it, I'm a victim. Woe is me. You owe me something. They was working hard building. Why do you think all those things were built back then? Because they had no choice. They built things. They built it up. They wasn't being, if they was being a victim like we being today, they would have never built none of that stuff. They would have been walking around crying, complaining, riding, talk about you owe me this. They wouldn't have been building nothing. Them people was builders. If they knew that we was gonna turn out like this, they probably would have set everything they had on fire if they knew that this was gonna be the outcome. We don't do that anymore. We're not building nothing anymore. We tearing things up. We destroying. That's all we're doing today. Civil rights for what? It was a waste of time. Waste of energy. Benefited no one. Too many people died for nothing. Because people today ain't doing nothing with it. But crying and complaining, whining. We could have done that without civil rights movement. But gladly they wasn't like that. They was workers, they was builders, they took pride in who they were, and they knew what the real deal was. We don't know nothing today. We know what our black leaders tell us, and that's a problem. These so-called black leaders begging for money for everything. You making them rich, and they keep feeding your feelings. They ain't helping you at all. They just feeding your feelings. Because black race is not gonna come up with this group mindset, with this group think, meaning we all gotta move in the same way. And those who don't get shunned or get called names. That's the dumbest thing you can do. Because the ones who are not following the group, they're the ones you need to be listening to because they seem to be making things happen. Everybody with this group think, if I can get the whole group to think this certain way, I can keep you all right here without, it won't let you move nowhere. Because I can do that as a black leader if I wanted to. I could get rich myself. I can make myself rich. I can switch everything up and go down the same path that these people going down and become famous within 2 years. And I can become rich in no time. Just selling you dreams. Like they did with their civil rights crap. It was selling a dream that was never planned or meant to come true. It was a dream. A bad dream that's still going on today. And that caused what you see today. Everything you see right now caused that. The breakdown started right there. All the programs that came out, getting us all under the Democratic Party, putting all them programs out there, all that welfare out there, all them handouts. They still doing it right now. But people don't know what, people always talk about, know your history, know your history. They don't know no history. They know what somebody told them is what it is. They ain't studied nothing. They ain't looked into nothing for what it really is. They don't know nothing about what's really going on. All they can tell you about is who got shot, who they unalive, that's all they can tell you about. They don't know nothing about what's the real things. I'm not saying that was not real. Those sad, those people had to lose their life. But I'm saying it's a lot more of the underworkings than just that. That surface level. What's the things behind that made that went down that you're not looking at? I'm gonna just say this and I'm gonna go. The civil rights movement was a waste. It was not good. It did no good. It did no justice. It caused all the problems you see right now in this society, in the black community. Started from that. It started from that. Because if you go back prior to that and you look, you won't see those things happening. That's happening right now. And we just walking around here just happy because they got Kamala running for president. We just happy because of the lady. Just like they was happy because of Barack, and all they did was smack you upside the head. Barack smacked you upside the head for 4 years. If you put Kamala in there, she gonna do the same thing. Anyway, I don't know what to tell you, man. Y'all can look at it for yourself. You might not agree with me, you might not like it, but before you disagree, go and do your own research. I mean, do some real research. Take some time and look at it. And tell me what you think. Y'all take care.